Hey, what's good, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. For those who are sick with the coronavirus, I'm going to send a quick prayer that everybody recovers who is affected by it. For those who are not, please take the proper precautions out here. Sanitize, wash your hands. You practice the social distancing if needed. If those who are quarantined, those who can't leave or won't leave their homes, take this time to use the self-development, build up, write that book, get that business plan, get that exercise in if you can. Take the time to relax and spend time with family, mend those broken relationships. All right. So, real quick on the Relax Forum, I'm just checking in. Just a lot of stuff going on in the law enforcement world. Just real quick for those officers that are out there engaging and working, please be safe. Make sure you take the proper precautions. From what I'm reading, a lot of the officers that are engaged, especially in New York, Washington State, Louisiana, California, those who are involved, the officers are getting sick, so they're out there catching the stuff, and it's leaving the department in a vulnerable state. For those in the public, just remember that 911 dispatchers are not vulnerable to this stuff. So EMS, firefighters, police officers, even healthcare officials, doctors, nurses, you name it. These individuals are not immune to this. So as they are serving you in the public, you just got to be mindful that stuff is going to be a little slow as usual. So please just keep that in mind. Some of the case studies I'm reading, there's a lot of officers they're changing it up as far as the way operations are being conducted. I know some 911 dispatchers are screening the calls, making sure that they have any flu-like symptoms or if anything's represented for the coronavirus. That they're being careful who they send out and how far they need to take it, depending on what kind of call it is. And some officers are not arresting unless that's absolutely necessary. So during this time, please, people, just kind of mind yourselves. I know some people, things that get a little uptight because people still stuck indoors. But remember that this stuff is applies. Police officers are still going to be out and about, but a lot of times they may be limited resources, especially in major cities where the infection is spreading faster. Their officers, their limitations for the departments put more strain on them because officers are getting sick from the coronavirus. Interesting fact I got into with some of the prisons. Some of the prisoners, since close quarters, they're not being able to get that 6 feet, that social distancing because they're in cells. Obviously, the staff and some of the correctional officers are engaging. They're also getting sick as well. So it's interesting to be in the prisons right now because of a lot of stuff that's going on with the virus being so easily spread through the respiratory or through surface contact. So therefore, this stuff is continuously to make, for prisons is going to be even more worse with the close quarters. Some stuff was proposed as far as, letting the elderly and those who's critically ill and for their immune systems being low to maybe serve out their time somewhere else. I don't know how this is going to work, but obviously we know that it's attacked those with weaker immune systems and elderly and some even children. So in these prisons where, there are a lot of there's some older prison mates there or those who are sick, who has compromised immune systems, the chances of them catching is obviously a risk is increased. Therefore, it's going to spread faster throughout the prisons and along with the staff. So during these times with this virus, people got to be really mindful of what we're getting into as far as that and being able to just practice the stuff that everyone's saying, obviously sanitize, making sure if you're exposed to quarantine yourself, if you have the ability to do so. Those, I think I was listening to a podcast earlier of some of the news venues that they have is that some people that live in homes where it's 6 or more people, there's obviously a chance for it to spread. Or if you're engaged with a high populated area, it's going to spread as well. So you just got to practice these things. I hope everyone's really being safe. It's a lot going on in the news, a lot of stuff being spoken as far as just different people talking about the digital dollar. They're trying to come up with a stimulus package. Just be mindful of what you see. Take the time to really be aware. This is where you need to know your laws. This is where you need to do your research and get knowledge. As anything with law enforcement, always continue to practice, being able to know what's going on in your communities, knowing what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do. Obviously, be mindful of laws being broken, committing crimes, because there's zero tolerance for it. I was listening, watching a guy on my post where he's saying there's a lot of more police calls in certain areas of the city rising up because of this coronavirus, because people's not thinking or not acting the way they should. So, and he's kind of frustrated with the process of, when people acting out, especially during this time where you're supposed to be quarantined or you're supposed to be in your homes or whatever case may be, whatever's laws, martial laws been implemented, or more so curfews put in effect. People are out here doing stuff they shouldn't be doing and making the jobs for the officers harder. You don't want to make it harder. Let's continue to think about what we're doing. They in some areas the National Guard is in effect, so they're going to be helping out, whether it's through the medical portion or the law enforcement security portion. So don't get out there acting crazy. I had a couple of run-ins with some people as I'm out there moving about doing what I need to do. People want to get crazy as I'm out there. So just really, we got to really be mindful of what we're doing and not make the situation worse than what it is. That's all I really got to say. I just want to let kind of saw some stuff about law enforcement. There's some stuff coming up pipeline where they're actually in some parts of Maryland and Prince George County and some other places where they're even considering releasing, depending on the crime, depending on what's going on, they're going to release some inmates early. So that's an interesting thing to look out for. But other than that, as far as a law enforcement perspective, just please be mindful that the emergency services, as this stuff continues to get worse and spread, that there might be a limitation of officers. Things may happen, and that's how it's going to affect law enforcement as a whole, how it's going to affect the police departments and being able to respond to actual calls, whether it's emergency calls or actual calls where it's actual laws violated or domestic violence or high crime types of crimes, homicide, murder, aggravated assault, stuff like that. Limited manpower, how this is going to affect the call time, the response time. So this is kind of a big deal where officers are being able to, if they're falling to the sicknesses more so and they're limited manpower, the officers got to kind of find a way to deal with that with the manpower. That's going to be interesting to see in each major city, especially where it's like, California, Seattle, Louisiana now, Georgia, some other places where this stuff is spreading a lot faster, how it's going to affect people. So we got to be mindful of that and just continue to practice the precautions as needed. And that's pretty much all I got. Just want to check in and just please stay encouraged. I know it's difficult for some to stay in the house and stuff like that. Just find the activities, find the resources that you need to stay busy with your kids at home. Make sure you're keeping them occupied, not only just physically, but keep them occupied mentally and even spiritually. So definitely find ways to stay busy during this difficult time. For those who are struggling financially, reach out to your resources to assist with the financial piece. I know everyone's talking about the stimulus package, but you got if there's other resources available to you, unemployment benefits, there's other grants or any type of things in your local or even your state, forums. Definitely utilize those so you can be able to get what you need. So that's all I got to say. I don't want to make this video too long, but please stay safe. Check in on your family members, check on your elderly, check on your grandparents, those who are sick. Make sure that they're good to go. Make sure you're taking care of your people. And in law enforcement sense, please police yourselves and continue to assist the law enforcement and make sure that if something that can be handled among yourselves, handle it. If not, use them as needed. But with the cases of them getting sick, especially from what I'm reading, it's going to be a point in time, if this thing continues to get worse, that they may not be available at a faster pace or a faster response time as normal. So some things, it may take a while. And those who are actually needing law enforcement or EMS, be patient, because obviously they're dealing with this stuff day in and day out. And they're dealing with it at a close proximity more so than anyone else. They're dealing with the public more so than anyone else. So the chances of the risks of them catching it is a lot higher than those who just are quarantined in their homes and don't come out only if needed. So just keep that in mind, and I hope everyone's being blessed. Stay tuned, www.rebuildingcommunitytrust.org. I did do some updates to the page, added some new material, added some videos, also Spotify, Anchor, a couple other streaming venues. Again, they're on the webpage if you want to download for your listening pleasure. Next video is coming out soon. I'm going to work on DFACS, it's Department of Children and Family Services, based off the documentary of the Gabriel Fernandez. If you haven't seen it already, I'm not going to do a review on it. I'm just going to talk a real quick basic approach to the DFAC system and what's the purpose and how it plays a role in our criminal justice and social justice venues that we have. So I'm not going to do a movie review on it or docu-series review, but it's going to be based off some of the stuff that I did see. And that's the next video I'm going to do. So please stay tuned. I hope everyone's being blessed. Please be safe.